The Secret That Changed Everything, a tale of love, betrayal, and redemption. Hi everyone, welcome on Silent Confessions. Today I'm sharing a story that's not just about love and betrayal, it's about redemption and the choices that define us. What I'm about to tell you changed one woman's entire world. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and stay with me until the end. Trust me, this is a story you won't forget. And don't forget to subscribe for more shocking and life-changing stories. Let's dive into the secret of Camilla. Camilla was like anyone else, a woman who thought she had it all figured out. Happily married to Giovanni for 10 years, her life was a steady stream of comfort and predictability. But all of that changed the day she decided to step out of her comfort zone and take swim lessons. For years, Camilla had wanted to learn how to swim properly, but never found the time or courage. Finally, she signed up at her local sports club. That's where she met him, Luca, the new swim instructor. His bright blue eyes seemed to merge with the water, and his athletic frame carried a magnetism that was impossible to ignore. Oh, and one more detail. Luca was Giovanni's nephew. At first, it was harmless. Camilla admired his skills in the water and his easy smile, telling herself it was simply respect for a teacher. But as the weeks went by, she found herself eagerly looking forward to their lessons. She couldn't help but notice how perfectly his swim trunks fit, or how his touch, even in the most professional sense, lingered a second too long. One evening, during a lesson on floating techniques, Luca's hands rested gently on Camilla's back, just below her shoulder blades. "Relax," he said softly, his voice low and reassuring. His touch was firm yet cautious, the pads of his fingers pressing against her skin just enough to guide her into position. The warmth of his hands, contrasting with the cool water around her, sent an unexpected shiver down her spine. She tried to focus on his instructions, but her heart was racing. As he adjusted her posture, their eyes met. For a fleeting second, time seemed to stand still. The world outside the pool faded away, leaving only the sound of their breathing and the faint ripple of water. Luca hesitated, his hands lingering a moment longer than necessary. Camilla felt her pulse quicken, her body acutely aware of every inch of space, or lack thereof, between them. That moment passed in silence, but everything had changed. An invisible line had been crossed. From that evening forward, every glance, every accidental brush of skin was charged with an unspoken tension. It crackled between them like static electricity, leaving Camilla breathless and wanting more. The group lessons, once sufficient, now felt like a tease, like she was trying to sip water when she was dying of thirst. Camilla couldn't help but crave the moments when Luca's focus was solely on her. She needed more. One afternoon, as the group session ended, she approached him. Her voice was steady, but her heart pounded. "Luca," she began, trying to sound casual, "I was wondering, could we schedule some private lessons? I feel like I'm not progressing as quickly as I'd like." Luca studied her for a moment, his lips curling into a slight smile. "Private lessons?" he repeated, the weight of the words hanging in the air. Then, with a nod, he said, "Sure, let's set something up." Their first private lesson was unforgettable. The pool was quiet, the hum of the overhead lights creating a serene atmosphere. The night air was crisp, a stark contrast to the warmth of the water. As Luca guided her through a crawl stroke, his body moved with hers in perfect synchronization. His hands occasionally brushed against her arms and sides as he adjusted her technique, each touch igniting sparks that neither could ignore. At one point she paused, treading water. "Luca," she began, turning to face him, her voice barely above a whisper. "Am I doing it right?" He swam closer, their faces just inches apart. His eyes searched hers, and for a moment, neither of them spoke. Camilla's breath caught in her throat as she realized how close they were. She could see the droplets of water clinging to his lashes, feel the heat radiating off his skin despite the coolness of the pool. Who made the first move? Neither of them would ever know. One second, they were locked in an intense gaze, and the next, their lips met in a kiss that felt inevitable, as though they had both been waiting for it for far too long. The kiss was tentative at first, as if testing the waters, but it quickly deepened, months of suppressed longing bursting free like a dam giving way. Luca's hands, wet and strong, slid down to her waist, pulling her closer. her arms wrapped around his neck, her fingers instinctively tangling in his damp hair. The edge of the pool became their sanctuary, the water their accomplice. It amplified every touch, every breath, every heartbeat. As his hands roamed her back, anchoring her against him, Camilla felt a thrill she hadn't experienced in years. The weight of their actions hung in the air, but in that moment, nothing else mattered. Every stolen kiss, every whispered breath against her lips, spoke of the desire they had both tried so hard to deny. The line between teacher and student, between right and wrong, blurred beyond recognition. In the warm, cocoon-like embrace of the water, they let themselves drown in the moment, knowing it would change everything. Who made the first move? Neither of them could say. One moment they were inches apart, and the next their lips collided in a kiss that carried months of suppressed desire. His hands, wet and firm, found their way to her waist, while her fingers instinctively tangled in his hair. The edge of the pool became their world, and the water their accomplice. In the days that followed, Camilla was a whirlwind of emotions. She felt alive in a way she hadn't for years, but also consumed by guilt. How could she betray Giovanni, a man who had done nothing but love her? And yet, she couldn't stop thinking about Luca. His touch, his laughter, the way he made her feel like the only woman in the world. Their secret meetings became more daring. The thrill of potentially being caught heightened the intensity of their connection. It wasn't just the pool anymore, it was the sauna, the locker rooms, even Luca's office. Every encounter deepened their bond, but also magnified the weight of what they were doing. One night, Camilla returned home to find Giovanni waiting with a romantic dinner. Candles lit the room, and her favorite dish was on the table. His kindness felt like a knife twisting in her chest. As they ate, Giovanni casually mentioned how proud he was of her progress in swimming, even adding that Luca had praised her dedication. Camilla almost choked on her wine. What had Luca told him? Giovanni's oblivious smile both reassured and haunted her. That night, as Giovanni slept peacefully beside her, Camilla stared at the ceiling, torn between two worlds, the safety of her marriage and the intoxicating allure of Luca. But the double life began to take its toll. The constant anxiety, the guilt, it all became too much. Luca, too, seemed weighed down by their secret. One evening, after an especially intense encounter, he finally broke the silence. "Camilla," he said, his voice heavy, "we can't keep doing this. We're hurting people who don't deserve it." His words hit her like a tidal wave. She knew he was right, but the thought of letting go was unbearable. They had to make a choice, end things or face the consequences. That night, Camilla decided to tell Giovanni the truth. Driving home, her heart pounded in her chest. When she arrived, Giovanni greeted her warmly, as always. "We need to talk," she said, her voice trembling. The conversation that followed shattered their lives. Giovanni's heartbreak was palpable, his love for her unable to shield him from the pain of betrayal. In the end, he asked her to leave, unable to look at her without seeing the wounds she had inflicted. As for Luca, their connection couldn't survive the destruction they had caused. They parted ways, each trying to rebuild their lives separately. Camilla moved to a new city, started a new job, and began the long process of healing. The guilt lingered, but so did the lessons. Today, Camilla reflects on the choices that led her to this point. She understands now that honesty and loyalty are not just ideals. They're the foundation of any lasting relationship. Her story is a reminder of the ripple effects of our actions and the strength it takes to face the consequences. What do you think? Can a marriage survive betrayal this deep? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you found this story moving or thought-provoking, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories like this. Until next time, this on Silent Confessions.